Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is Flying Fortress by Eric Weathers and Andy Moore, I believe. And I've actually had this book for quite a while, and I just haven't had time to sit down and read it because it is a bit of a big collection. And here's the goodie pack. So yeah, it is a bit on the. I remember it was being a little bit on the pricey side for an Indiegogo campaign. But it did come with a lot of goodies, so it wasn't exactly like you didn't get your money's worth here. Here's a really nice poster that was provided by it. I really like this. I think that's a 50 caliber BMG. I'm not as big of a military nerd as other people, but I think that's a 50 BMG. Let's see what else is in this pack. Yeah, I was having a hard time getting everything out of this thing. I did want to grab this poster because it was kind of important to me. Shit, come on, get out. Get out. Get out. Okay, there we go. Cool. Here's a card. This is done by Aaron Alfecci. He does the art for Jawbreakers right now. Very nice Plague Soldier card. This is a piece by Eric Weathers. It's one of his newer art pieces. Looks like it's from a comic coming up called Savage Wilds. And yeah, it's a good piece. It's a lot of growth in his artwork. This is his early days when he first got, I guess, doing comics. Here's a patch. Here's a a bookmark. Here's all the post-it cards. They're pretty cool. Layers stuff by Kelsey, Matt Weldon. I think there's one by Kyung Lee and a few other. I think that's Elliot Fernandez. Yeah, I think that's Elliot Fernandez. That's John Malin, obviously. There we go. There's Kyung Lee. Yeah, a lot of great cards done by a bunch of artists for Eric Weathers. So some people may not be aware, but if you've bought any Comicsgate Indiegogo project, Eric Weathers practically letters maybe 80% of them, maybe 70. I don't know. There's a lot of Comicsgate stuff out now, but for a while he was the guy doing all the lettering. And here he is. He signed the book. Thank you very much, Eric. So Flying Fortress is a World War II comic of a sort, but it combines World War II with fantasy and a little bit of steampunk and just I guess a pinch of zombie stuff. The people in here aren't exactly zombies. I think they're plague victims or some sort of plague that makes them act like zombies. But anyway, it's a pretty crazy and wild story. And what I think is very fascinating about Flying Fortress is if I am correct, this is Eric Weathers' first comic that he ever made. So the art, and I'm just going to be honest here, it doesn't help to review something if you're not honest. The art in the beginning of this book is it's pretty rough. I'm not going to lie. But what is very fascinating about Flying Fortress is that Eric just keeps grinding forward, and the later issues get better and better and better as he works through it. It's honestly, it's kind of like a testament to hard work and growth when I read through Flying Fortress. It's incredible, especially if you take a look at his newer work, how much he has improved as an artist. And honestly, since I think this is co-credits with Andy Moore, so I'm not sure how much is Eric and how much is Andy, but the writing's not bad. Sometimes it gets a little bit wonky in the pacing. And at other times, there's some jokes that are tried and they kind of fall a little flat. But the overall plot and build-up and structure is very good. And I don't really have a whole lot to complain about Flying Fortress. It was an enjoyable read. I will admit it did take me a bit to get past the first couple issues of art, just because the art was just it was a little rough. Not to be too critical of Eric, but the improvement through the issues, getting all the way to the end, is very dramatic, and he gets a lot better in Flying Fortress. So overall, I don't know necessarily if I agree with the price cover. Again, I've said this about a lot of the Comicsgate Indiegogo campaigns. There's got to be a way to find a way to get the price down. Because I understand for a lot of these people, they're not going to get high volume, so they gotta make a profit off of what they sell. But man, dude, it's a little rough here. I remember Flying Fortress. I think it was above the $25 mark, if I remember, and that did make it a little rough. But to be fair, you got a lot more content in Flying Fortress. Flying Fortress is, I think, like 6 or 7 issues. I forget how many issues is in here. And a whole bunch of extra goodies, too. But I do want to make one note, and it's a final article right here in Flying Fortress. Let me go find it right here, by Mr. Weathers himself. So this one's from Eric, and I'll just read it here. The journey of Flying Fortress began in 2010 when Andy Moore, Andrew Walker, and I decided to make a comic book. We've been friends since high school, and we're just hanging out with our wives when the first seeds of the idea began to emerge. The initial idea was to make a World War II zombie book, but we didn't just want an entire platoon of fully geared Allied soldiers mowing down the undead with ease. Eventually, we settled on a single, crash-landed B-17 crew. A cast of 10 men seemed like a decent place to start. With barely any weapons or provisions, our crew had to do what they could to survive. Flying Fortress for me was a huge learning experience. I learned every aspect of making comics. Writing, penciling, inking, coloring, and lettering were all done without any real prior experience. Looking back, it was quite the monumental task putting that much work into roughly 200 pages. It felt like jumping from a plane and catching the parachute on the way down. It has had its ups and downs, but none of it was wasted. We all have to start somewhere, right? And I kind of want to point that out, and I hope Eric doesn't mind me reading that off of his book there. That when you go through Flying Fortress, you're looking at someone literally, doing their first comic. And if you think about that in that terms, it actually makes a lot of sense why the first couple issues are pretty rough. I could imagine, just starting off having no experience and just trying to do a comic from scratch. Like, yeah, it's going to be a little rough. But it is phenomenal if you think about that in mind in the background of Flying Fortress. How, it was still a pretty damn good comic for someone just coming in with no experience whatsoever. And, now Eric Weathers is pretty much synonymous with lettering and Comicsgate. But, he does a lot of great stuff art-wise as well. He's improved dramatically since this book. Or since he made this book, 2010? Anyhow, yeah, if you see this on eBay, I don't know if he still has Indiegogo campaigns going on, but if you see this for a good price on Indiegogo, definitely pick it up. It's a fun read, and you just have to get past the first couple issues, but it gets really, really good after that. The other thing that I do want to mention is that he has a current Indiegogo campaign going on right now called Battle Brick Road. It's his sort of take on the Wizard of Oz with a lot of guns and wars. So pretty fun. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely check it out. I'll leave a link down below. And yeah, let's get to the art. So here's the pencil and inks. I just took 2 of the main characters that I kind of like the most, mainly the captain, Stephen Reynolds. And I believe the character's name is Matt Glosson. And he is the ball gunner, I think, which is you gotta have some balls to be in the ball gunner of a B-17. A lot of those dudes died in the war. Statistically, not a very good place to be in a B-17. But I always thought the character design was really cool. He's got kind of like a true bomber jacket with a baseball bat that he calls Eleanor. Anyhow, I kind of messed with perspective here, and I was kind of trying to do some weird forelengthening and foreshortening to get a really cool angle here. I don't think I necessarily pulled it off, but I'm pretty happy with it. And here's the colors. Actually kind of happy with the colors, even though so I was in the middle of Photoshop and using the lasso tool. I didn't realize that I was accidentally coloring on my damn ink layer, and I was so pissed. I wasted 20 minutes. I was so annoyed to go back and re-clean everything. But yeah, again, continuing to experiment with just flat coloring. In this case, these are flats, but I'm rendering out shading. So in this case, I did a 2-tone shading technique. I think I'm going to continue to color. I'm not really into airbrushing or any of that other stuff. I think I'm just going to keep practicing with flats and seeing how I can make flats work. I don't know why. Maybe because I just read too many old comics, but I just kind of like flat coloring. Anyhow, that's the review. Let me know what you think. If you got any comments, leave it down below. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and if you do subscribe, please hit that bell for notifications. And also make sure that it's notified for all if you want to hear any updates. Anyhow, that's it, and I will see you next time.